Hi, I'm Polto, your consumer advocate for your credit rights. Everybody out there knows I do credit and help people with credit problems. But we're standing in front of one of the most highly respected attorneys, consumer protection attorney, Cary Flitter's office. We're going to see what he does and what his day is like when it comes to the bill collectors. As you know, I help people with credit problems, and as I'm helping you with your credit problems, he is the one who goes after the bill collectors. We're going to watch him in action. We're going to go inside to see what he does, what he actually does with these bill collectors. A consumer protection attorney, he sues the bill collectors of any violations out there that you may have. You have a credit problem, I'm the one to see. If there's a bill collector problem, let's find out what Cary does and what his staff is doing. Okay, we're inside. We're inside Cary Flitter's office. I'm keeping quiet because there's a lot of workers in here. This so far is an empty desk. Cary is on his way. So is his wife Nancy, who works with him. You can follow me. We're gonna be interviewing Cary, but I really don't want to interview Cary. I want to see what he does. There's a conference room. Go back here. And we have this. I love this because they're not wearing suits and they're relaxed. And this is a relaxation. He's at work right now.
Hi.
And Cary's office. Well, as I said, we're waiting for Cary.
Carl?
Hi,
I'm
how are
Joe,
you?
Cary's
Joe?
assistant.
Cary, I've heard you many times,
We've
talked to you
spoken
many times.
Hi, how are you?
This is, Lenny, you're on a documentary right now. We're going to see what Cary does.
Hi, Pearl. I'm Andy.
You look familiar too.
How are you?
I mean, I got your brochures
Yeah,
right
well,
here.
there you go. Yeah, I've never met you in person, but
Oh, my
I
God.
think we've spoken on the phone a few
Yes,
times.
I've
Yeah,
spoken
sure.
to many people, but never met you in person with it.
Nice to meet you.
It's very nice
Same
to
here.
finally meet you after all this time.
Finally, after all these years with
Many,
Cary.
many years.
We want to see what you do here. We want to see what Cary does in the work. What do you do?
A little bit of everything.
Okay, when you say a little bit of everything,
I do,
when I call you or a client calls you, what happens? What do you do?
Well, when someone calls, I answer the phone, obviously, to find out what they're calling about. Basically, anybody who usually calls this number is trying to get a hold of Cary.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm kind of a buffer between everybody and Cary. And I try to...
So you can't say, well, I'm not sure if he's in, because he's
Oh,
right
no,
next
no,
door.
No, if he's here, he always takes calls.
Okay.
Always. So, but I mean, he just needs to know what it's about. I mean, if it's a new client, then obviously I have to give him a little bit of information.
Okay. And Nancy stays in the front.
Yeah, she's in the front.
She's in the front. His office is in the
It's
back.
right
So
here.
when a client comes, they meet him in the conference room or in his office?
He usually goes out, you know, and then either he takes them, generally to the conference room. That's what he prefers. Okay. He uses his office on occasion. Say hard.
No.
I mean,
Easygoing or
he's pretty easygoing. Yeah.
how's he with the bill collectors?
He's forceful when he has to be. I mean,
Okay,
but with his
okay.
staff, he's not like that. So.
With the staff, that's good. That's good. He's easygoing.
Yeah.
Thank you. And this is
This is
his
Cary's
office.
office.
This is where we're going to be seeing him at. Where Cary meets the clients if you're harassed by bill collectors. If you're getting harassed by bill collectors and you need to come to see him, this is where you're going to be sitting. Actually, right here where I'm at. And I have a problem with a bill collector, so I'm going to be talking to Cary Flitter, and to see if I have a violation against the Fair Debt Collection Act. So if you have a violation, it's free. Cary's going to tell you this when he comes in. As you see all the plaques on his wall, he teaches. He does a lot of things. He really does a lot of things, and you know, it's a good guy to know if you are getting harassed by bill collectors. Oh, and here is Mr.
Morning, Omi.
Cary Flitter.
Morning, Pearl.
Cary, welcome. Say hi to our audience out here.
Hi, audience.
This is our consumer protection attorney, very elite. Now he just came in. He's gone into
Come
his
on back.
office. Okay, Cary, this is where you work in.
It is. This is the laboratory.
This is the laboratory, and this is where the clients come in.
So our clients come in, they
Do
meet
you
here in my office or in
always-
a conference or...
Let me ask you something. When you have a client, do they, let's say from California, they can't come here. What do you do there?
We're set up for Skype or FaceTime. We have an audio-visual set up in the office. So
Okay.
whatever they prefer. If they're Mac users, we use FaceTime. If they're PC folks, we use Skype. And we have a squawk box and and AV for whatever we need.
Okay. Now,
And if need be, I do what they've done for the last 50 years. I drive to the airport and I hop on a plane. We go in
really,
well, sure.
you go that far?
Monday I'm going out to Chicago to meet a client.
Nice.
So
Nice. So
well-
you go overboard. Now I can see why they call you the consumer.
No, I try and
advocate.
stay in the plane. But yes, metaphorically, yes, I go overboard.
As you say, you know, he's got, you know, I'm hoping, you know, we want to watch you at work. We want to actually see what goes on from the time you come in here, for the time you have to call bill collector, or does bill collectors call you, or you call them?
I seldom call them. They will sometimes call us.
Okay.
And once they find out we're representing a client, sometimes we hear from the bill collector. Sometimes we hear from the bill collector's lawyer. So depending on who we hear from, it will affect what we do. But
Now-
we let them know right up front they're not to contact the consumer directly anymore.
When you said they contact their attorney, from attorney to attorney, I've always heard the brotherhood. Does that work with here too, or no?
It depends on the attorney. There are attorneys here in the Philadelphia area that I've had 100 matters with.
Okay.
So we have a good working relationship. I think we're tough advocates.
Okay.
I have a job to do and they have a job to do, but if they say something's going to happen, it happens, and vice versa. So I think in the end that's productive. If it's a lawyer I haven't dealt with, or a lawyer who's, in my mind, not reasonable, then you know, he gets it back in kind.
Very interesting. We're in luck. Let's hope. Let's hope this is a bill collector.
Good morning, Cary, Flitter. Yes. Yes, we represent Herman Schwartz. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. And what is your name, sir? Mhm. And Mr. Washington, who are you with? Asset. Mm-hmm. And you're calling on account of what? Okay. Okay. Did you get a cease and desist letter that Mr. Schwartz sent? Well, you ought to know. Yep, I'll hold 1 minute while you check. Right. That's right. That's a month ago. You were advised a month ago not to contact him anymore. So what's the problem? We're told that you've called 30 or 40 times since. Well, one hand has to know what the other hand's doing. That's not good enough. You're on notice now. So you better make note. The company's going to be liable for the 30 to 40 calls under the Debt Collection Law and the Telephone Consumer Act. You have my contact information. You're not to contact Mr. Schwartz anymore. If you have anything involving his account, you can contact us. You have my number now, right? All right, sir. It's 10:09, August 21. Mm-hmm. So we're making note. You have the representation. No more direct contact. Okay? You'll be hearing from us. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, you have heard it live. A live conversation with Cary Flitter talking to the bill collector. I love it.
You know, they had it in the file, and how many times we hear that, oh, well, somebody else took it down, or I'm sorry, the right hand didn't know what the left hand's doing. That's not acceptable.
Can a bill collector resell it? If you send him a cease communication letter, can a bill collector resell it to another one and they start harassing you?
Yes, they can.
So
That's
that's
a hole in.
That's interesting. So they are
That's a
allowed.
loophole. They're working on changing the law to require debt collector A to have to tell debt collector B that there's been a dispute or there's legal representation or what have you. As of right now, if a debt collector has notice of representation or they know it's a dispute and they sell it to a new debt collector, which is very common, the new debt collector is not required to abide by what was told the first debt collector.
Now, how long, how many years is a debt collector allowed to harass a person?
Well, they're not supposed to harass a person at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give the benefit of the doubt and say try to collect the bill. There's really no time limit on how long a debt collector has to collect the bill.
So they can go for 20 years?
They can go for 20 years. Now there's a statute of limitations
Right.
which limits how long that a bank or debt collector can sue you on a bill. In Pennsylvania, that's usually 4 years. Sometimes it's 3, depending on the contract. Other states are different.
Right.
So they can't sue you after 4 years,
They can arrest you.
but they can contact you. They can call on a bill that's 15 years old, as long as they don't mention suit or court or litigation or judgment or anything related to court or legal matters. They can write or they can call, and if you want to voluntarily take care of a 10-year-old obligation, then you can do that. But they can't in any way imply that
If, let's say a phone company hires a bill collector, and can the bill collector be reported on a credit report as well? Or, because now it's on, let's say, 4 times with a phone company and 2 bill collectors on the same bill.
Right, that's a great question. It's not supposed to be reported multiple times. When the debt is sold, if you dispute the debt with the original creditor, they're supposed to remove it if the new owner of the debt is reporting it. You're not, because that gives a false picture too.
Right.
If maybe you're behind on a debt for $2,000. Well, if it's reported 4 times, that'll show you $8,000 in arrears, or in arrears on 4 different debts. So that really paints an inaccurate financial picture too, and that should really only be on once. The other thing is there's what's called re-aging. You and I have talked about that, where if you go into default on a debt, let's say in 2008, well, this is 2013, a 5-year-old debt is going to have less impact on your credit score than a fresh debt, right? Just because the debt's sold, the debt collector is not supposed to use an old date on the credit report. You know, it's not supposed to be redated, I should say, or re-aged, so to make it look like it's a current delinquency.
Have you heard the latest?
Also, as you know, it's 7 years, 7.5 years if something can stay on your credit report. So that runs from the date of the first, default, not from a later date when it's resold and resold.
Okay.
So that's a big issue.
Have you heard the biggest credit bureau has recently gotten sued
Well,
for millions of dollars?
who are you talking about?
I was talking about a major credit bureau.
Oh, the credit bureau.
Yes.
Yes, there was a lawsuit
I'm not mentioning the bureau. But
against a particular bureau. Okay, we won't mention. I don't know why we can't mention it. It's been
it's public
been
knowledge,
public
right?
knowledge. It's
That's
Equifax.
Experian then. No, it's Experian.
It was Experian. Okay, it was Experian. And
50-something million.
18.6 million.
Unbelievable, and
Right.
they won.
Right, they won. The case tried,
Okay.
and I think that was that was not expected to be that large of a case, and the attorney Baxter, it's a father-son team, Mike and Justin Baxter in Portland, Oregon, and did a terrific job with it. They had sued Equifax in the past and Experian, and they had sued the credit bureaus in the past, and I think there were 7 or 8 disputes that were just not taken into account at all.
Equifax
So that's got to run through the appellate process, of course, and it may be that there won't be a check have to be written for $18 million at the end of the day, but we won't know that for another year or 2.
It's still against them, though. Now, my confusion is Equifax. They're a collection company, credit bureau, and they're also a collection company. Isn't that a conflict of interest? I know a lot of senators have said it's a conflict of interest, but why aren't they being sued? Because.
You know, it's not illegal to do both things.
Okay.
It's illegal for a collector to hold themselves out as a credit bureau. In fact, we had that recently in a case, in a class action suit, where a collection agency was calling themselves the credit bureau. That was their name, the credit bureau. So you can't send out collection letters saying you're a credit bureau, which of course a credit bureau is the firm that assembles the credit and the credit reports and so on. And a collector can't call themselves a credit bureau.
How about the bill collectors that are contacting people and say, I'm from the law office of, and it's not a law office?
That's a great question. We actually have a couple of those matters pending right now. The rule is, if it is a law firm that's run as a law firm, the law firm, collection firm, can have non-lawyer collectors there trying to collect debts. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, if it's a collection agency, and they may occasionally have a lawyer that they hire to go to court or something, they can't call themselves a law firm. So if that's a business that's owned and run by a collection agency, by a non-lawyer collector, and they just have a lawyer on retainer, or they're paying him by the hour or by the day, that's not a law firm, and they're not supposed to call themselves a law firm. We're actually pursuing a couple of those cases right now against what we say are phony law firms.
And are they allowed for an incorrect amount on a credit report, let's say you owe them $5,000 and they put down $15,000
Right.
on a credit report, and they're trying to collect $15,000 from you and said, well, interest rates went up, or whatever. Is that legal?
That's not good enough.
That's
I
not
mean,
good
there,
enough.
there's a requirement in both the debt collection statute and in the credit reporting law that the amount being sought to collect has to be accurate. And they
Okay.
can't inflate it. Now, if with interest it comes to a higher number, then they can claim that's the right number. But we
Okay.
see a lot where they have no idea how they get to the number. They throw in junk charges. We've had collection letters, you mentioned they get sold or assigned. January 15th, the company will ask for $5,000, and February 15th is with the new collector, they're asking for $8,000. Now how did it go up? $3,000 in a space of 30 days. It's not possible. So they're throwing in junk charges and other things that don't belong, and that is illegal, and you can sue over that.
If a bill collector is made a mistake and they're reporting something that's inaccurate and the person went for a car or a mortgage and they got turned down because of this, is that a violation?
It is.
Can they get the house or the car because they were turned down because of this collection company?
They probably can't get the house or the car,
Right.
but there's a number of different components you can get. The first, most important thing to do is dispute it. If there's something on your credit report that doesn't belong there, or doesn't belong to you, like in the case that you just mentioned, the Experian case in Oregon, was what they call a mixed file case, and there was negative entries in the person's credit file that belonged to a different individual. Sometimes the name is similar, the social security number is similar, or it may be stale information. There's a dozen different reportings that can be an error, that can harm your credit and your credit score.
Okay.
You have to write to the credit bureau. You must write to the credit bureau. Paper and pen, don't do an online dispute. You and I have discussed that. Never do an online dispute. If you
I've
can
said that to
possibly
many
avoid it.
clients, but they, you know.
Well, you only get, for one thing, you only get, what is it, 8 words.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
as soon as you write to whom it may concern, that uses up, what, 5
Well,
words?
this is why I'm doing this documentary, for people to really understand who you are, that's
Right.
one. For people to see you at work, which they did, and for people to feel comfortable when they have to call, or when you get, you know, anything from a consumer.
Sure.
What's my right? So now they know their rights with
Sure.
it.
Well, you know, if they call, they know that we're liable to talk to Nancy Flitter. That's Mrs. Flitter, as you well know. And
Is she here, or?
I think she is.
Okay, we'll
I'm
catch
not sure.
her on
We
the way
drove
back.
separately this one, but or other staff who
Okay.
will initially do, you know, an intake and ask for some information, just like if you call a doctor's office. The initial contact will be with a nurse or a medical assistant, and they ask a little bit of your medical history and your medications and things like that, and then then they can gather information, and then we have meetings, you know, a couple times a week. We sit round table things and
Round table,
look at
okay.
matters and see is this something we can help with.
Is this your
Sometimes
son?
That's my son, Ed. Ed Flynn.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna be walking, when we walk back out to meet his wife Nancy, we got a family occasion.
I guess in
so-
some ways, yeah.
Yes,
We have,
it's a
what, 7 or 8
family thing.
employees. And
Cary, I wanna thank you.
You're
I wanna
welcome.
thank you for
My pleasure.
allowing us into your office to see how
The
you
inner
work.
sanctum,
And it was
anytime.
perfect, perfect. Let's go out and meet his wife.
So, I know
Okay,
you received
now
your call.
we met this gentleman before, but we didn't know who he was. This gentleman is Cary Flitter's son. It's like a family occasion in here, which is really good. Everybody's working together. And this is Cary Flitter advising his son what to do with this. So he's getting into the business as usual. And this is part of the teamwork that a lot of people is going to be relating to with it. Now, this is Danielle at work. She works with Cary Flitter, and she's a part of the team here. It's like a family occasion right here. She's working hard at her desk, and as you see, he's a good boss.
Great boss.
Great boss. Okay. This is not Nancy. Where is Nancy?
This is Omi,
She hasn't arrived yet.
and,
All right.
okay.
She's gonna hate it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. That surprises me because she was right behind me. So this is Omi, and she works with Ted Lorenz and the rest of the team. And very good. We're very happy with her. As you can see, you can just see the brightness in her eyes.
Brightness.
Yes.
Oh, you. Wow.
So this is really like a
That's great.
family thing here. Everybody gets along with it.
I think so. I think it's a pleasant place.
Yeah,
to
I
work. Not
see
for
it.
me to say. It's
No, I can
Definitely
see
a
it.
pleasant
I can see it.
So I'm
with
gonna-
it,
so we just
All right, it was
check
nice
in.
meeting you.
Same here.
Nice meeting your office and everything else. And we are now in the conference room of Cary Flitter's firm. Now, who's the girl on the left side of me? This is Nancy. Nancy is Cary Flitter's wife. We just met his son. Talk about a family occasion here. And they're both smiling, except Cary. Cary's like with the nervousness of his hands. So this is what, we seen him because he just talked to a bill collector. Nancy, tell the people how you like working with your husband to start. Let me walk away from this.
Star.
How do you feel working with your husband? Besides your husband?
Well, I think working with Cary has given me an opportunity to see just what he does and how he's able to help people. I end up receiving phone calls from consumers listening to their problems, and I'm able then to see how Cary is able to take that problem and serve their rights through the court system.
I'm not sure if Cary's familiar with this, but the people that my clients that spoke with you, they're all animal lovers.
That's true.
And they love talking to you, even before they go or get to Cary. Because they said, I can talk to her for hours. She's an animal lover. And you're so consumer friendly when you're on the phone with these clients that you're making them feel relaxed before they even get to Cary.
Well, so often when people call, they're having bill collectors call them, or there's a crisis of some kind in their life. And I really try to listen to that to see what the problem is and really get a sense of who they are and how we might be able to help them. So all of a sudden, pets come into the picture and we do start talking about that. And I am a pet lover.
Well, sometimes a delivery man will come to the door, whatever it is, and then the dog goes crazy. So that's how they figure out, that's the connection. And
What's the connection? But you love coming to the office, working with him. Now, when you leave the office and you go home, does the business still stay the same, or is it more a relaxed atmosphere? Not to get any personal, but
a little bit of an issue. It's
or is it the dog in the middle?
It's a little bit hard to turn off. A little bit hard to turn off, and especially if it's been a busy day and a number of people have been calling. Sometimes, literally in the morning while I'm shaving, we'll review matters, and she'll come up with a stack or a sheet or something, and we address 2 or 3 or 4 matters. And
I'm curious, at the
works.
dinner table, do you talk about your day's work?
Well, Pearl, I think you have to understand, since this is a business, and as a business owner, you don't always turn your business on and off.
Exactly.
Yes, we do have to try to carve out time, that's our own personal time. But when people are calling about issues that are really of concern to them, I feel for them. And you want to try to take care of that problem. Yes, there is a lot of time that we do spend talking about issues and how we might be able to help someone, but and addressing the calls.
Yeah, you just can't get it out of your head.
I think as any business owner, you sort of live and breathe your business, and it's, I think, part of Cary. It's who he is. I think from when you got started by representing himself in a consumer matter when he was in college, it's like it just becomes part of you. What is right in this situation, and you have to make it right. You do whatever you draw on those resources to make it right.
Cary's an easygoing guy. We just seen him with the bill collector on the phone, so he's bluntly to the point, which is good. This is what you have to be in here. Blunt to the point with the bill collectors to make the people feel at ease, correct? And I know you do, because I've been told this many times. And many people have said they've been to your office, and you're such a nice guy and everything else. But you see, I'm saying, well, you should be really harsh with a bill collector. But no, you don't have to be. As long as you know your rights and the law.
And occasionally you do have to be.
As you were in there with the bill collectors, because if they go overboard. This is interesting.
Right.
This is interesting.
Well,
if a bill collector is being abusive, then you have to think about it. It might feel good, but how is it going to help your client's cause if you're abusive? If you're turning to the courts for some relief, the fact that you're going to be abusive back to the bill collector, I think, can redound against your client. And that's really what it's about. It's not about making me feel good because I can yell at some bill collector. I was a bill collector in a past life, you know that, Pearl. I didn't collect from consumers.
right, I was after
collected
you.
from companies.
I was
but,
after
you know,
You just don't do bill collectors though in your business here. You
No.
do car dealers. Name a couple of the things that you do, which is national. I
we
mean,
do people have their cars repossessed, represent them in class action cases against different lenders. Credit reporting cases, if something on somebody's credit report that doesn't belong there. Fraud cases.
fraud. Let's go into that. One of my clients contacted me and said somebody tried to sell her a car and they got away with it. They did sell her a car, but as they sold her the car, it was no insurance on it for 2 months, and she was driving without insurance for 2 months. Where the person said they put the insurance on the car. Is that just negligence, or is that?
I mean, the failure to place the insurance is probably not a consumer law violation. It may be an insurance regulation violation or something we'd have to look at. But we had a case, for example, locally where a well-known local car dealer would take people's trade in and say, okay, well, your trade's worth, we'll give you $8,000 for it. But maybe they owed the bank $3,000 on the loan. So there'd be 8 minus 3, $5,000 left as a down payment towards the new car. Well, the dealer would take the car, resell it, and not pay off the loan for months. Wouldn't pay off the loan for months. People are getting collection calls. We had a couple people, repossession trucks showed up at their house, and they'd say, I traded that car in 3 months ago. The dealer was floating the money. A very well-known local Philadelphia area automobile dealer was just floating the money to get their free interest. And it took some legal action. PennDOT got involved, and finally they paid off all these deficiencies, these balances.
You don't just deal with locally. You can deal as far as California, correct?
We do, and we have had cases in California, in the Midwest,
I have a case right now in
New
California.
England.
She's an actress.
But there's what we could do for somebody in Pennsylvania or New Jersey, we can't always do for somebody in California. If it's a purely local matter, if somebody was swindled at a car dealer in California, we're not able to get involved. We give them a couple of names of capable consumer lawyers and they're on their way. If it's a class action case or something that's national in scope, and the client happens to live in another state, yeah, absolutely, we can look at that.
How do you make a class action case when it comes to a bill collector?
Well, I don't make a class action case. There's federal rules of
Right.
civil procedure that allow a case to be brought as a class action if someone's been harmed in a particular way, and it's a similar process. Like there's form collection letters, or there's a systemic overcharge. The collector's overcharging some group of people by the same amount of money. You can ask that the court treat that as a class action case, and then 50 or 50,000 or 500 people in the same boat can all recover from the pot of funds that we generate at the end of the case.
As you know, our economy went under. This is a booming business. This is a booming business with bill collectors because everybody wants the piece of the pie. So this is why everybody's harassing people now, because everybody's going under right now and they're taking advantage of the situation. Do you feel the same way? Because of our economy, that your business is more booming?
I mean, I'll say 09 and 010 were dark times.
Okay.
And repossessions were through the roof. And the foreclosure filings were way up, and the people were losing their jobs. I mean, it was bad. The economy's not great now in 2013, but it's certainly improved from what it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I mean, the repossession calls, they were crazy, and people had, credit was pretty easy in 07 and 08. People were buying houses and cars, sometimes couldn't afford them. Sometimes the loan officers were making up phony numbers and giving loans that never should have been given out. We saw a lot of predatory mortgage loans at that point in time. And so that was bad. And we were
Big
running
question.
around pretty good. But
Is bill collectors allowed to call your cell phone?
it's a great question. In general, they are allowed to call your cell phone until you've told them to stop calling your cell phone.
Okay.
And then they have to stop calling your cell phone. And if they keep calling, the law allows a consumer to sue for $500 to $1,500 per call.
Okay.
That's a lot. You get 100 calls. 100 calls times $1,500 is what? A lot of money.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Because everybody asks me that, are they allowed to call your cell phone?
And if they're calling your cell phone, you want to tell them, or text. If they're texting you, text back. Stop calling my cell phone at the number and give your name, and they're supposed to stop right then.
And
If
then
they
it's
continue-
documented.
And then it's
So
documented.
they can show you, it's documented, what they said to them, and then
Exactly,
that's it.
exactly.
Okay.
But the cell phones especially, calling landlines, even if there's some abuse, is one thing, and you can sue over that. With the case of a cell phone, if there's improper calls to a cell phone, you can actually recover per call, and it gets to. I tell the story of my aunt and uncle who were well into their 80s. He was in a wheelchair, she was on a walker, and was getting cell phone calls at their home, and you know, we ultimately got the calls to stop and got them a recovery, and we were calling for somebody else. It wasn't even their dad. Had no business calling us. I can just imagine when the phone rings and you know, really, I'll get it. No, I'll get it.
Yeah, there's actually.
You know.
I want to thank you, Nancy. I want to thank you, Cary.
You're welcome.
For doing this documentary. I think that people should get educated, and they will get educated after this. Thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you very much, Pearl.
All right, we just interviewed Cary Flitter, and in front of and Nancy and his teamwork. There's many things that Cary has educated you on, and when it comes to the bill collectors, when it comes to credit. Now let me emphasize one thing on the credit. You've heard Cary say about the statutes of limitation. Well, the good news is if you have a credit problem, you don't have to wait the 7 years. The good news is minimum of 30 days. So if you have a credit problem, you call me. And I will direct you to Cary, and I will see and scope it out. Or you can contact Cary directly. But either way, if you have a credit problem, guess what? The good news, you don't have to wait. If you're getting arrested by bill collectors, you don't have to wait the 7 years. Minimum 30 days, people. That's the law too, not just the credit law.